Yay! All right. So, uh, hello, everyone.
What's good, people?
Yes, here we're about to start another episode of the Double S Club with your two hosts with the most. You got your boy, Lord 905.
You know what it is. And you got my boy and partner, Mr. Rohan, Mr. AKA Mr. Remarkable.
Every day, all day. All right. So,
What's good, my G?
Hmm?
Said, what's good, my G? What's in the ethos today?
Well, I don't partake in it much, but it's a good topic. OnlyFans switching up on people as of October 1st, saying that they don't want the spicy meatballs no more. So,
well, I mean, it's kind of hilarious because the platform was created for artists and it's not known. It's known for that at all. So I guess they had to pivot due to the fact that I guess they can't put commercials on sexual explicit content. As me and you already spoke to privately about this before we got on the show, it's that weird dichotomy of being able to run a site that's basically promoted by porn and then drop every single one of those people at the doorstep now when you're publicly known. So,
well, it's not really publicly known. Unfortunately, it's a result of big business because, as we discussed again prior to setting up with this, other formats kind of follow that same concept.
they did.
Patreon for a minute when it started was allowing anybody to create whatever they want. Obviously, when trash and basically it's a result of it, right? We all know that sex sells, regardless of the industry, right? Whether or not it's movie, advertisement, video games, you name it, right?
Yeah.
And as a result, it's something that we all gravitate to. It's all something that we can relate to, regardless of how lewd it is. Some people have special tastes, but generally speaking, most people appreciate the sex and
a good-looking person is a good-looking person. They're going to be able to sell anything.
Well, I'm not even talking about the physical attraction, because yes, that's a component, but because it's a primal function, right? As beings, get the intellectual thought out of it. Our primal instincts, we appreciate food, we appreciate sleep, we appreciate being comfortable. So that's either cool when it's hot or being warm when it's cool. And then, with sexuality being a primary function in regards to the maintenance and the survival of our species, it's something that we can gravitate to off of it. Attraction, regardless, because everybody's attraction is different. So when you put it into the landscape in regards to promoting stuff, like we said, sex sells, easy to put. So obviously, OnlyFans, like you said, starting off as something intended for artists to be able to reach their fans, like independent artists like yourself, or people on the come up to be able to do that one-on-one. Because there were, when the pandemic started, a lot of bands came on OnlyFans having.
But I'll push back a little bit on that one, though, because here's the problem with OnlyFans is that originally, yes, the platform was created for artists to get contact and basically be able to monetize their content directly with their fans. But I think the problems got skewed when it got licensed to a shit ton of sexual, basically sexual people, and then there was a mystique about it. Because new other artists wanted to join OnlyFans because it was known for that.
And model. And that comes on to the notion of perceived value, right? So, the platform was put into the ethos and said, we're creating it. Anyone can create fans, whether or not you are a traditional music artist or whatever, or if you're a regular artist, like a painter or someone to draw.
There's a girl running around like a horse on there. So trust me, there's all types of art, whatever people want to consider art.
Right, and people can find fanfare and that kind of stuff. Like if you can do magic tricks or whatever, then again, you're fans. So the platform is there, but the thing is that obviously when you're new and you have something that can drive sales and attention, which in this case was the adult industry, they're going to allow it because, hey, at the end of the day, you're getting notoriety. Now, the only reason why they're swerving on that is because of the fact that they've reached a number where they could say our platform can hold XYZ, and they want to reach out to more traditional revenue streams, and out in order for it to be like, we don't want to be
completely reliant
caught
on
up.
one.
Yeah, because of the fact that it's the monetization, right? Like,
Well, it comes down to it.
yeah, because like, what's the difference between OnlyFans and Pornhub? If you want to sit
Well,
down
let's be
on that.
no, well, let's be honest with you. It's free subscription based. I think the biggest thing that we're seeing right now is the transition between companies being able to control literal content. And I mean, we've been talking about this from before. If you don't already have your own website, if you don't already have your own like set up network to keep the people who you get from these free social networks, you're never going to be able to survive, because the second they decide they want to change the algorithm or they want to change how they do business, you're at the limit or at their mercy. And that's pretty much what the biggest problem is when it comes to being a content creator.
Well,
look how many people lose their Instagram accounts based on simple posts or a misunderstanding of what the rules are. Their whole business is built and predicated off of that advertising. And then now when they lose that, their whole business fizzles.
well,
So
yeah,
it's like, it's a terrible dynamic for you to rely on just social media without like thinking about the whole repercussions of if you lose this thing.
well, it's just like anything else, right? Like we work our jobs or the industry. Like, who thought that like a restaurateur who invested in their restaurant prior to COVID knew they were going to lose it during the pandemic, right? Like, you can't see that aspect. So at the end of the day, there's some truth to that statement and saying, as a content creator or someone who is working, you have to anticipate. Because like I was reading the article in preparation for this, and there's a lot of people who quit their regular jobs. Like, one of the people that was featured in regards to the biggest complaint is this nurse, very attractive woman. God knows she did some surgery in order to reinvest in herself to increase her earning potential on this platform. She was making like
70K or like 100K a month or something like that a month. I think I read the same thing.
Yeah. No, well, was
she was making like she was making a good decent amount of money.
She was making a good amount of money. Like, she was making like a good, like, $3,000 a week or something like that, or some kind of exuberant amount. And it was like, yeah, okay, cool. And then now that the platform shifts, a lot of people are concerned about it. Yes, I feel like there will be something that fills in a void, because again, Patreon used to do this, Tumblr used to do this, and like I was saying, when these platforms are in the infancy, they need to be able to attract anything. Like, to a certain extent, like, you can still find lewd content on YouTube, right?
Yeah, but it's very hard for you before the algorithm yanks it.
Not really. Honestly, you can type in something like naked yoga and boom, because of the fact that the loophole in that aspect is that because yoga is considered an art form, and because of the fact that the people that are doing it, it's like they're showing you, like, now we enter the dog pose and da 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 da, but they're purposely, presenting themselves in a nude.
They're subverting the rules in some
right, and ensuring that certain shots are being there, right? So, like, with a certain degree of creativity, these people might have to shift. It's not going to be the complete like mass exodus as a lot of people are worried about, but it is true because of the fact that you can yield more money in commercials. And at the end of the day, if OnlyFans comes back and says the reason why we're making this shift is because of the fact that we know post-pandemic, a lot of artists like who's a big artist that likes to perform a lot? Help me out here. We were talking about something last night. Like, let's say Tory Lanez. Let's say Tory Lanez, right? So if you can come and say, we're going to be the premier platform for you to host your concerts, and you can have intimate and interactive concerts on this forum, they would yield more money in one shot than allowing these people. And then you can get more engaged in the revenue generation in regards to that. One of the reasons we know that they're making the shift is big business and their ability to sit here and say, we can monetize on it. It's very difficult for you to monetize on adult content, right?
Yeah, but it's also the stigma, I think, that was created because of the adult content running. Because here's the thing, how many artists were looked upon, like, they frown, like, let's recap the last year. When Ray J went and opened up an OnlyFans, 90% of the industry clowned him for it. Same thing with Safari, same thing with all of these lesser known acts basically, it wasn't until like I don't remember which one of the bigger platforms, like I think it was like a Bella Hadid or a bunch of other ones that actually created an influence of actually having an OnlyFans, not for sexual content. It wasn't until one of those big guys jumped that the stigma started to leak.
Right.
Because before, you were just looked at a moron for having, or you're just selling ass, even if you're a prominent star with an OnlyFans.
Exactly.
That was the biggest problem.
Exactly. And they knew it. They couldn't, it's not like they would sit here and you'd hear Beyonce drop Catch Me on Your OnlyFans.
You
right?
see what I'm saying? It's
But,
very hard for them to actually claim legitimacy if there are no big fans willing to jump the ship. And I think that's the reason why they're exiting all that content, because the fact that it's much more worth it for them to risk the gamble of taking one guy, just one big name star. That fan base trumps all the lewd content in a minute.
Yeah, and like I said, we discussed this. If OnlyFans wasn't doing it for being able to say, look at what we did with that platform. It's still well known, even though it has that association with the lewd content. They are not the ones sitting here and saying we created
make lewd content. Yeah.
They're pleading a certain degree of innocence and saying, hey, we just created a platform. Unfortunately, a certain subsect of it took advantage. Now we're taking a responsible thing in order to clean it up, that ability to do that kind of stuff. But the name is still in the ethos, because they could have easily called it something else. They could have called it something else.
You and me talked about this. They could have copied the algorithm and created another version of OnlyFans specifically for adult content and kicked all of them off the site and moved them over there, and nobody would have cared.
Right.
Nobody, not one person who actually had a password, or I don't know how it works. One of those people would have had no problem jumping ship to the next platform.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, the people that are being hurt in regards to it is the subsect that gets created, because there's a lot of people, like, obviously we're talking about the poor girls and guys. There are some OnlyFans.
Oh, there's probably some dudes that are now making some serious coin too.
In regards to the platform and what they're going to do, but it also kind of goes into the conversation about how the relationships that some of these people have created are going to survive. Like, I have a double view on that notion personally, because some of the people that invest in these relationships with the content creators on
you call it a relationship.
No, they'll legitimately call it a relationship.
Bro, I'm already dying. You call it a relationship, right? Bro, sorry, I don't mean to be petty, but insides are already dying.
Bro, you know what? There are some sad souls out there to a certain extent where they can't really find love in the real world, so they have.
That's like the strip club relationship. Like that makes zero sense. You are paying the fantasy. You are paying the magic man to do the trick every week.
Yeah,
that's all they're doing.
But the difference between like romanticizing a performer at a strip club versus romanticizing somebody on a screen, like right now, it's just like even us conversing, we're having an intimate conversation. We're privy to the fact that ultimately other people can view this, but in this aspect, we can kind of condition how we're interacting with each other. Right? There's still a control. When you go to a strip club, you're in an environment where you're being viewed by multiple other people, right?
Yeah, but I think the environment is conditioned on the fact that they know that, but they think in their head, if I spend or invest enough money in this girl, she'll come home with me and stay with me. That's the same thing as the OnlyFans thing. They think that they're in some sort of magic relationship and they're the only person in the world with this girl, and if they have the ability to put enough money or talk to her in the right way, she'll become theirs. It's like,
but really? to a certain extent, there's a higher yield on that action. If you go to the strip club, right, you have to go to the establishment, right?
Okay, I see your point. Again, I see your point.
You're removed. Meanwhile, if I have the money with the OnlyFans girl, I can be like, hey, I'll see you at 8:00, and she'll show up at 8:00 because I'm investing in her time, and I get an immediate result of which right?
Okay, I see your point. I see your point.
And
Because some of them
because it's
lonely dudes who don't have that,
and because it's
ability.
in both of our own personal environments, my home and my space, her home and her space, it seems a little bit more intimate, and opposed to a third party location of like a strip club. It's neither of
I guess
our,
I never thought about it that way before. I never thought
right?
about the intimacy that was necessary to pay a girl to do some nasty shit online. Like I
Yeah.
never really thought about it that
Well,
way.
yeah, but like it's not. Sometimes it's not even nasty stuff. It's to be able to have a conversation. Some people find it therapeutic to be able to have somebody that they can kind of, in a sense, like reach out to, even though it's
Now my
creating
question
that
is,
dichotomy.
now my question is, if you can form a relationship based on an internet connection, like with no ethos, no space, why can't you do this with regular people? Like,
Bro,
isn't that same amount of risk? You
you're
can
asking.
pay, like, you can pretty much put the money into the same shit, right, to impress a person that's right down the street from you. I would think.
Yeah, but there's so many things, right? Like on screen, and again, it would be nice if we had some of our female counterparts, whatnot,
Fact.
but they busy. We can't afford their time.
You know.
So on the internet, because there's that uh disconnect, there's a safety. Remember, as men, we don't know what women go through, right? So
Honest truth, we don't
they're
know that.
like on a regular basis, you're in a situation of vigilance. Like I've had some of my female friends come to me and say, like you can walk the street as an individual and like nothing's a threat to you to a certain extent. Like a man would have to, a
No,
man
I
would,
completely agree
yeah, a
with you.
man would have to run up on us with either a gun or a knife to be a threat,
No,
right?
I feel
But
you
there's
because
no
I
situation.
do feel the same condition about with my sisters, and I've had girls who I on purpose walk home because I just don't trust the environment in which they deal with.
Right. So
So I completely agree with you.
when you apply that mentality and the fact that like, if you leave your girl's house, they might be like, message me when you get home because I don't want to have to worry about something bad happening to you, like an accident or something like that.
Mm.
But when she leaves you, you'll be more inclined to be worried because it's just like, yo, did she make it to her car okay? Did her car start okay? Was she able to make it? If
There's
she got
far more
stranded on the side of
conditions.
the road,
Mm.
was she able to seek help, et cetera, et cetera? There's so many things. So, okay, going to answer the question with OnlyFans and building that relationship, because of the fact that the woman can enter the environment, which is the streaming content, without those threats, because she has to control, the focus can go immediately to relationship building. Meanwhile, in real life, as a man, if we approached a woman that we wanted to court, we would have to convince her that we're not a threat before we can convince her that we're worth your time.
Understand
Right?
and control, but I guess it goes back to my real question: is can it be courtship if the intention is to gain money out of the person? Because here's the thing: your art, like my uncle, my old uncle used to say this to me. He's like, son, you gonna pay for being in the presence of a woman, regardless, however you decide to.
Yeah.
Whether you're deciding to wine and dine them, whether you're deciding to take them to places, whether you're deciding to share experience, or whether you're just deciding to skip the middleman and pay for it. He's like, you're gonna pay for it regardless. So my understanding is that is there a true relationship or a true connection built with these people, or is it just an interaction of a fan and somebody who pays for content?
Sometimes people just need that separation. You can say safely, what's the difference between your partner and a therapist? You can have more intimate relationships with a therapist in regards to it because.
But I don't think it's intimate. I think you go to a therapist for the vulnerability of having somebody who doesn't know you in any way, shape, or form.
Intimacy with someone has a derivative of vulnerability, right? Like
True. You're right.
When if you think about it, when you're about to mate with someone, you're taking off your clothes, you're doing all that stuff.
You're getting the most. Yeah,
you're revealing yourself to that someone.
I feel you.
Yeah, like people, again, because we're wired differently and we take their perspective, some people may look at it and being easy. Like the guy could have went into it being like, yo, I'm just gonna pay this girl to have a couple of conversations with me, and then a nice conversation gets derived from me. It's like, yo, I've never had this thing. I'm used to the sexuality or the urge in the moment or the urgency in trying to deal with that kind of stuff. If you follow that person, you have time to understand that person. Obviously. Right? So again, that some people, like the infamous shoot your shot, some people aren't ready, right? So at least if you're
True.
be able to come back at a different aspect, be like, yeah, you know what, I'll learn more about this person and get caught with them. Or like some people work off the long game versus the short game. So you can see how relationships can be derived from time and energy invested in that, and people's ability to kind of not have the anxiety. That helps a lot too in their ability to approach and engage people. So
well, you're right in a way, because I'm starting to see that the DM has now become the new bar, like the new bar. Like
yeah,
people shoot their shot 90% in DMs all the time, because I've seen celebrities flat out say, yeah, I've dated regular people because they threw a shot in my DM.
yeah. I
And
mean,
it's crazy to actually see that happening, but that's the ethos we live in now, where that's a thing.
yeah, sometimes you can catch people in the weirdest way, right? And like, you know, it's like it's almost like, you know, if you go to a restaurant, you talk to a server and you have a good conversation with a server, and you're like, bro, I had a better conversation with this person than some of my friends. Exasperate that and say, yeah, that could be
Yeah.
OnlyFans. Anyways, so yeah, there's the kind of people are arguing and saying, you know, what's going to happen with those kind of people? Da, 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 like they build good relationships, and the financial, like the emotional impacts of that kind of stuff, and what kind of platform will they be able to create in order to manifest that, right? Because like people always say, why do you go to OnlyFans if you can go to Pornhub, get your rocks off, and then you call it a day, right? And she's like, well, I feel a little bit more engaged because that person will refer to me by name, or at least that kind of stuff, right? So that social bridge kind of helps a lot of people.
I don't think it's that either. I think really they just like what they like, and that person is visually what they're cued to, and it's easier to find it. Because like let's be honest, we've all had to run down the porn rabbit hole of just trying to find one thing you like. Whereas in OnlyFans, I would think, I don't have an account, but I would think that the idea of it is that you found this girl, or through whatever social media platform, you like her content, so now you have an exclusive link to anything she makes.
That helps because of the fact that it opens a lot more stuff. Like again, I don't have an account either, but I'm just
so I'm just guessing. I'm totally shooting
I'm deriving this from other online relationships I have with people, like from gaming accounts and stuff like that. So it's almost the same thing, right? Like you build a relationship because there's times where they can be relatable. And like for the longest time, especially when I was into like Call of Duty heavy and stuff like that, I had my squad. And just to be able to be like, yo, we came together on this platform, we met in the rooms, and we'll be like, yo, you're good at this, and da da da, and we became squad. And just to be able to be like, you get to know the person, you're referring to the person by name, you have that camaraderie in this virtual environment. Like the guys were all over the place. Like
I rate God bless DJ.
One of our guys was in the Philippines, so sometimes when we did raids with him, it would be late at night, so he can catch us early in the morning before he went to school, right? So like it's that aspect. So if you take that over to OnlyFans, the difference between the porn environment where it's just like you're voyeuristic, you're seeing what they've already scripted out, versus being able to go to be like, hey Cindy, how's it going? Like, you know, I see that you.
I didn't know there was that type of interaction. I guess it's because I'm not on the planet.
Yeah,
I don't know that there's that type of interaction between the people.
Level. It is that.
Okay, I had no idea. So that's really. It's always been a phenomenon that to me is ununderstandable, because like here's the thing, I've been an interview for half my life. Like the reason why I'm so loud and boisterous is because 90% of this stuff I go over my own head a million times. So like by the time it's just a confidence to get it out.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand that introverted need to stay inside and not be next to people until you work out all the kinks.
Right.
So I totally get it.
So you can see now why the owners of OnlyFans are sitting here and saying, we want to be able to create that same degree of interaction with fans, like to be able to be like, hey, today I'm having a sit down with like Beyonce or Obama and be like, hey, Barack, how are things going with you and the family since you've done your presidency? Well, Rohan, you know, I'd like to let you know
a direct one-on-one
that ability is huge, in opposed to being like, yeah, sir, that's a great question. So if they're able to create that environment and also have like at the bottom, you know, MasterCard, da 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 da, or this period is being sponsored by Lexus or whatever, then the OnlyFans know that they have that revenue generator.
They win no matter which way you go.
They can keep the platform open. Meanwhile, as it stands right now, the biggest revenue generation is the adult content. But the problem is that some people are really cheeky with that. So when you get chargebacks and stuff like that on those things, and there's only certain creditors that are associated with the adult content, like MasterCard and the rest of them, they don't deal with adult content directly.
No, I know, because 90% of those girls can only do like your Venmo or like your Cash Apps or stuff like that, just due to the fact that they don't have the ability to just clarify their revenue stream as business.
It's not only that, it's the logistics associated with it, right? Like MasterCard and Arista don't want to be affiliated with that kind of content because like those environments yield a lot of fraud. Like one of the counter arguments for OnlyFans and the adult content is that like as people try to push the envelope, it opens the gates for more stuff. And you and I and our audience would be very colorful on knowing some of the darker dungeons of it, right? Like to you and me, things that are like risque is like BDSM and all that sort of stuff. There's mans that go deep, right?
Yeah, there's savages out there. I've heard some of my European homies tell me. So
obviously, proactively, OnlyFans wants to prevent that kind of stuff, like child trafficking, child porn, all that sort of stuff, right? But MasterCard and the rest of them do their best to try and stay away with it. So like you can use your MasterCard in order to pay someone else a gateway. I forget the adult gateways that are used for porn, but the thing is that when they're disputed charges, these companies have less recourse to challenge it, because you can you can sit here and you can make an agreement. Let's say you're talking to somebody on OnlyFans and be like, I want to see you do the most lewdest thing. Like the next time I have an appointment with you, I will give you like $50,000 if that, and I'm going to say something that's like messed up, not what I'm asking for, but like if you get your niece that you told me that you have involved in something. So the moral dilemma gets started, right? And then if that person is really about that $50,000 in one shot, they may break their moral dilemma to get that person involved. Okay, they engage in that transaction. The gentleman that made the request, regardless of whether he's satisfied, he can call up MasterCard the next day and be like, yo, where the hell does $50,000 charge come from? MasterCard will be like, oh, it was a charge on OnlyFans. I've never spent that much on OnlyFans. Okay, well, sir, I guess we have to credit it back. So it's $50K.
Wow, shit like that happened.
Right, it's $50K that MasterCard can't chase down, because it's not like, you know, this can of pop where it has a quantified value across the board, right?
So what, they can't go back to that girl and say this is what it is, and she can't just replay the video of him or whatever ingredient?
Oh, it's inappropriate for the content to be recorded, and she's not expecting a chargeback dispute. Why would you want to create an environment where you're like, oh, hey fans, it's Crystal Christie. I had somebody who I agreed $50,000 to pay me, and then he did a chargeback. So I had to go through this entire investigation in regards to getting the money that I rightfully deserve. Well, what did you do for $50K? Oh, well, yeah, I got my niece involved. Oh, we don't want nothing to do with you. So
I can see the issues between the morality and the interior.
So there's so many things that people aren't privy to, and why it's like
there's variables, like, there's variables in this.
Sad for you, you're not getting your easy money. Yeah, it's easy money in a sense, but like some of these girls actually put in work, and there are the girls who just do the right things, and then there are the ones that are doing the wrong things. And unfortunately, if word gets out, because again, me and you don't have that power, but that same man that was able to get a girl to do something for $50K, be like, yo, bro, you wouldn't believe the shit that I got this girl to do for $50K, fams. Like we ain't part of the $50K club, but you know there's groups of fools out there that are just sitting at the golf course and be like, yo, I got $50K. That'd be softing. I'd love to see that. I wonder what she'll do for $100K.
Look at the entire. Well, look at that. I mean, it's from a separate subject, but look at the entire police department that got caught 5 years ago, where the police chief, like the entire department, had girls on the golf course doing lewd acts and they were just paying the girls literally right there, and the
Yeah.
chief was there.
Yeah.
So it's like
So-
even one of the people from internal investigations was a part of their club. So like they had all bases covered.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it sucks. I get why OnlyFans is doing it. I get why the girls are cheese, because there are a bunch of them that are
They
doing the
invested
right
a
thing.
lot of them invested serious money,
Bro,
man. Some of these girls be getting tummy tucks and all the investing hella money into their body and they set up, and all of a sudden
and like I said, they fight, because you can watch all the YouTube videos in regards to me like how to start an OnlyFans page, and literally you could be the flyest girl in the world. But it's not just saying this is my link. Like some of these girls put in work. Some of these girls,
well, I know, bro. You see it on Twitter, bro. You see it all over the place.
The ones that are getting top billing are the ones that know you. When you come online, hey Andrew, how's it going on? How's it going on with your son? This and that. How's work? How did that meeting go?
They really about that life like that?
They will do the research, because in all honesty, if you can subsidize a man that got that kind of paper, why would you want to sit there?
I never thought about it that way. Why wouldn't you invest the time getting to know
Right,
him
yo,
when he's got the bread? I never thought about it that way.
I have dual
That's that
monitors.
gigolo
I'd be
formula,
like,
you?
okay, client
Yo.
Andrew, click. Okay, yeah. All right. How's the weather over in Brampton? Everything good? I heard something's going on. You guys are going to be going to the pool soon. Why wouldn't you want to have that intimate conversation? Yeah, it might be a little bit lewd,
that's the way to hustle
they
it
will
up, right?
do it.
Yeah, that's the way to hustle it up still. I guess it's the easy. I mean, it's easier for them. Well, I mean, can't call it easy because it's a lot of work. But the interaction is easier if you have that type of personality to monetize that. Like you're basically monetizing your personality at that point.
Right,
you're not even monetizing your body.
Bro,
that's a serious investment.
Bro, for real. If I was being paid a money, I would remember my friends' birthdays. Like that's
true. That's very, very true. That's very, very true, my dude. That's your light bill requires you remembering these people's names, numbers, and everything. So yeah, I guess it's a different situation. But I mean, we can digress on all of this. I mean, the final point on the way I look at it is like a lot of these people, I won't even say just girls, a lot of dudes are probably going to lose their money from the adult content aspect of it as well. But what I'm seeing is a lot of these people did not take the time to monetize their talent or to create a sub platform where they can control the narrative. And that's been the same thing in music, and it's been the same thing in every promotable or artist as a whole. We're always the ones that the game gets changed on, and then 20 seconds later we're told, find a new way. It's like until we find a way as creators to actually build these platforms for ourselves. It's the same thing me and you talk about tomorrow. If YouTube tomorrow morning decided that we have to pay them to get on their platform, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do. Like there's zero as a creator we can do, because we need these free platforms to actually push our content out there. So we're always at the mercy of them.
YouTube technically does that, right? Like your channel doesn't get monetized until you have over 1,000 fans. You have to do this, you have to do that. So it's just a question in regards to like, you know, do you want to be the platform that encourages that kind of activity? Because they could easily just turn around and be like, once you get X amount of subs, or depending on the revenue, everything needs to be filtered through OnlyFans, and then it gets passed over to you when it's done. Like a lot of people don't want to have a paper trail of their revenue, because then they can't do those under the table negotiations, right?
Okay, I see your point.
Like, hey, I'll see you in 2 hours for an extra $2,000. No problem, right? I come online 2 hours, you're not there, transaction doesn't get closed, right? Like, hey, this is my like Cash App. It's the Wild West. Patreon wasn't getting that money, and there's no way for them to turn around and create that system. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if October they start screening people, and then by the November, December, there's a new platform out there that sits here and says, hey, all the people from OnlyFans.
Bro, I think there's already probably a new platform out now.
Oh yeah, if it's not gonna work, and
I do not doubt that there already a platform, and them girls have already started switching immediately. Because look what I take it back to what happened back in the day when we were first coming up. Look what happened to how the ecosystem, the back pages. You used to hear all the time guys talk about, yo, back pages, go to there to get anything. Then all of a sudden they close the list for back pages. Then you see people moving over to social platforms. Instagram at first used to be the wild, wild west. They tightened that up. Then even on Facebook, as old as Facebook was, Facebook didn't really have as many rules. Then they started buying out other proprietary platforms, and a whole bunch of shit just started happening.
Low key, I'm kind of like, personally, I'm mad because with this whole OnlyFans thing, because I'm seeing all these bots and stuff on Facebook being like these hot ass girls wanting to be my friend. I'm like, bro, I all know that you're trying to get me somewhere else in real life.
Bro, I've never once, bro. If I see, I have a whole delete command list for this. If you're a hot chick and I don't know you, and we only have 5 of my pervy friends as friends, automatic delete. I have 5 friends that I know are the biggest pervs in the world. And if they are friends with this person and they're the only person that is friends with this person, it's an auto delete for me.
Yeah, like
automatic delete.
Can't even really see this, but like, like if we could show this, like 3 of the top of the things on my list are like bots. They're all coming out of the woodwork
crazy,
now,
bro.
Like,
it gets crazy.
Anyway,
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bots. But I mean, we can digress and we can dive into this forever. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, you tell us what you think about the thing. Is the OnlyFans a problem? Should they at least compensate the people who they're about to take off their platform? I mean, really, should we even have sympathy for these people? I mean, are these girls really downtrodden? Are they actually worth the work and the effort to actually feel in some form of empathy for? You let us know in the comments below. Please. Until next time, tune in. And now we get to.
So I guess we'll stop the recording for this one so I can save.